I found this when I was digging my level 11 mine here. To build one of these, the first thing you need to find, this is actually to build a record grinder, you need a combination of two, or ideally, you would have a combination of two types of grinders, two types of spawners. One part of it is a darkness spawner. The other part would be a skeleton spawner. Now a skeleton spawner, of course, works with a spawn cage, and for skeletons that you would find in a dungeon, right? Typically, a small dungeon room in a cave. And if we were to look at this more closely, you can see right there. There's one that I found, just of course naturally occurring. It's spawning skeletons. It does need to be dark around it to spawn them. This is a weird build because I built this so that when you pull a lever, pistons move essentially, and they can either, if I turn the piston off, a piston closes off this hole here, and a piston closes here and makes this water stop flowing. When that happens, the skeletons just fall here, and I can actually kill them as part of an XP grinder. And just kill the skeletons, get their loot, and get the XP from killing them. A typical sort of manual mob grinder. Not unlike the blaze grinder that we were setting up in the nether in a recent video. Anyway, I have this set up for the other option, which is for the water to flow this way, the skeletons fall down into a hole. That hole is connected to what's called a darkness spawner. A darkness spawner, of course, doesn't work by a spawn cage. It just uses the biggest spawner in the game, which is just darkness, to spawn various kinds of mobs. All kinds of stuff is, of course, going to spawn here. Skeletons, creepers, zombies, spiders, witches, maybe some endermen will spawn. The endermen will get out. If I made it only 2 blocks high, they couldn't spawn. But there's a platform in there where they can spawn in the darkness, and then when they get pushed down, maybe by other mobs spawning, they go into the water flow, they fall down here. Now what makes this a record grinder is that eventually I'm going to end up with some creepers in here. Now, notice our other grinder, that little hole with the water flow over it, has provided our skeletons from the skeleton spawner. Now, these skeletons are going to start shooting at me if I get close enough, if they see me. They're not going to shoot at me right now because I'm in creative mode. But just for ease of the video, but if I were in survival mode, they're going to start shooting. They're also going to shoot each other, which is kind of funny when I start doing that. But eventually there'll be one left. It's funny that skeletons get angry with one another and shoot each other. So there he goes. He's shooting at me. Right? Now what I want him to do is when he just killed no, he didn't kill him. He didn't. Now I think he killed him. He just killed the bat. That was funny. What did that bat do to you, Mr. Skeleton? Anyway, that skeleton's going to try to shoot at me. If there's a creeper in there, he's going to end up hitting that creeper. If a skeleton kills a creeper with an arrow, then that creeper gives up a special drop. That creeper gives up a record. Notice that I have this lined in obsidian. Why? Well, if the creeper somehow decides to do a blast, which probably won't happen unless he's near me, but I still decide to play it safe, he won't blow up the obsidian or the blocks surrounding the obsidian. So I've layered this in. I think it's actually 2 blocks thick of obsidian, just for safety. Underneath, there are hoppers to collect the records. The hoppers connect. These are my controls for the water flow. and for the lights, so I can actually turn on the lights, which turns off the darkness spawner. And here is where my various things collect, including records. Eventually I can make this self-sorting so that records will go into their own chest. But for now, I don't care. All this is a waiting room, so I can wait in here while things collect. I can get other things from that too, as you can see. It's a small darkness grinder. Not very effective as a darkness grinder, but extremely effective as a record grinder.